Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Humble Homestead Life. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about delight-directed learning and how it has been a blessing for our family in our homeschool journey. Now, when I first started homeschooling, I believe I've been homeschooling over 12 years for sure. I have a graduated son, my daughter's getting ready to graduate, and I also have a 14-year-old that I'm still homeschooling. But when we first started homeschooling, we decided to do a BECA curriculum, which I love a BECA. I think it's a wonderful Christian curriculum, but we soon realized that a BECA curriculum is not a one-size-fits-all. And I will just give you an example. My son is a very cut and dry student. He's a follower. He loves to just read the lesson, answer the questions, and you're done with that subject, and then he wants to move on to the next. And a BECA is very much like that, and it's very just kind of school at home workbook style, which is great if you have a student that that does well with that. And my son did up until about 5th grade, and then we started to kind of venture out into some different things. But when it came to my daughter, I thought, great, we're just going to do a BECA. It works great, worked great for my son, the phonics, everything. So we decided to put her in a BECA. We soon found out that a BECA was not going to work for our daughter. For one reason, I discovered that she is dyslexic. And so phonics were not clicking. Special sounds and phonics and things like that, spelling and reading, were not clicking at all with my daughter. And I just thought, Lord, I just don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to teach my daughter to learn these subjects, to learn to read and to write and history and science? It's like she's just struggling. She has dyscalculia. She struggles with numbers and math. And so I did a lot of praying during the beginning years of my daughter. I believe she was in 2nd grade when we discovered that she is dyslexic. And I decided to kind of switch gears. I wanted to get away from the workbook style of learning, even though that is very comfortable and familiar and easy to do. And I wanted to allow my daughter to learn things that interested her. For instance, my daughter is very artistic, she's very bright, and she retains a lot of the things that she watches and hears. And so we started doing things like, I ordered a math movie called Mathtacular. We watched Schoolhouse Rock. We would watch educational videos, and she would retain that. And then, I would ask her verbally, tell me what you learned today. And that's kind of how we would do school. And then, I would write it down on a board, and I would make her copy the letters, copy the sentence down. And so that is how we started educating my middle daughter. And we started to see her thrive. And she really struggled with reading. We took her out of the BECA readers. In like 3rd grade, we went all the way back to basic phonics and started using zoophonics to learn the phonics and the alphabet and how the sounds go together. And I'll do another video on zoophonics because that's something we did in kindergarten when I was little. But we backed her all the way up to the Bob books. And once she would, even though she was memorizing the words in the book, once it was memorized, she would retain that word and she would remember it. She became very confident in her reading, just starting at the little Bob books. So I highly recommend the Bob books if you have a struggling reader. I think they're excellent. And like I said, even if you have to stop what you're doing and back your child way up, I mean, it's worth it. I mean, my daughter, reads novels now and doesn't, have any issues with it. So I believe that each student is individual. They have individual needs, and it's up to us as the teacher, as the parent, to seek out a way that your child will learn and retain what they learn. So in doing that with my daughter, I decided to create a curriculum book that would suit her and her needs. Now, we did the unschooling for a little while, which was great. I got her a little journal, and I said, you can just learn whatever you want to learn. So just go to the bookshelf, pick out books of things you like, which was great. She was learning that way, but as a mother, as a teacher, it's my responsibility to make sure she's studying the right type of topics. And so I really wanted something that was kind of unschooling but had structure to it. That's where delight-directed learning comes in. And the books that I created gives me the structure that I need and gives her the flexibility to choose that she needs so that we have a happy balance in our homeschool. Because my daughter and I really butt heads a lot. It's been a real struggle to educate her, but it's one it's been very worth it, I say. So my curriculum books are 90 guided lessons. They cover 180 days of school. They're very easily laid out starting at day 1. You have your Bible, your reading and language arts, you have science, history, math, geography. It's just very, very basic, easy to use, open and go, and I just want to explain a little bit how it would work. Sorry, tongue-tied there. So I have these books, which are 3rd through 6th grade, and then I have 7th through 12th grade. I also have a kindergarten through 2nd grade delight-directed workbooks that I created. So one way I would lay out my child's education is, first of all, they have to do Bible because we are a Christian family. I highly recommend the Action Bible for students that struggle with just understanding the Bible. And if you just want them to understand basic stories in the Bible, this is great. It's a comic book format, very vibrant with colors. We actually would sit down as a family and read this. And then what I would do is I would find a scripture that goes along with that Bible story, and I would have my daughter copy it down. So for instance, if we were working with science, I would lay out 4 different books. This book is Creation Mysteries. It's all about creation. We have an astronomy book. We have a nature anatomy book. And we have a human body book called Blood and Guts. And I would lay these out and I would say, okay, these are your options for science. Which one would you like to do? And I would allow her to choose. And she would choose. Then for our language arts and literature, I would lay out novels. We have White Fang. We have My Side of the Mountain. We have City of Ember. And I have The Call of the Wild. And I would say which one looks interesting to you, and we'll use that for your language arts. She would choose. She didn't like these. I'd just go find 4 other novels that might interest her and ask her about it. For history, we could learn about Alexander Hamilton. And it's a comic book. And she could learn history that way. In my 3rd grade through 6th grade curriculum books, I really use the Who Was books because I ask questions, kind of like biography questions, about whoever the child is reading about. We actually learned a lot of history by using the Who Was. This says, who was King Tut? What was the Holocaust? And then also there's the Draw and Write Through History books, which are really great, and it includes art and copywork. And so these are just some options that I would lay out for my daughter and say, what interests you? What looks fascinating? And she would choose it, and then that's what we would do. And then we would take those books, and I give you a page in the front of each workbook to write down the books that you're using. We would use a geography book. This is called Countries of the World for geography sections that I have in here. And then, of course, always math. I don't have a math curriculum because I feel like math is an individual journey. You might have a child that's high-level math. You might have a child that's low-level math. You might have a child struggling with just one concept, multiplication. For our family, it's multiplication, remembering multiplication facts. Sometimes we might just work in a multiplication book through the whole year. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that your child, you find a way to spark the curiosity and interest of your child so that they will retain what they learn. And I really believe that delight-directed learning is an excellent way to educate your children, especially those that are not the cut and dry, read through the workbook, answer the questions, and be done for the day. I think that you have to have a different option, whether that be unschooling, Charlotte Mason style, delight-directed. I don't even know these days. There's probably more different homeschooling styles, but this was a style that we honed in on, and it really worked for our family, and we still, to this day, do delight-directed learning. We still allow our children to choose the books that interest them. My daughter was very fascinated with pirates. I don't have it out here, but I actually have a pirate 60-day guided lesson curriculum book that I created for her, and she literally just studies nothing but pirates in that book. And I'm okay with that because there's a lot of history when it comes to pirates. And so that's just how we homeschool, and I think it's a great way. It's more relaxing for the parent. We've spent many days, yelling and crying and upset, because she wasn't, the expensive workbook from Rebecca that I bought wasn't working for her, but I bought it and paid a lot of money, and I wanted her to finish it. And man, it just caused so much turmoil in our household until I decided I switched my way of thinking, and I asked myself, what's more important? That my daughter enjoys what she's learning, retains what she's learning, so that it will give her the ability to continue to want to learn. We never stop learning. Even as adults, we don't stop learning. I'm educating myself every day with new things, whether that's canning food, making homemade bread from scratch, learning about chickens, learning more about gardening, raising a cow to provide food for our family. There's always something that you can learn through your entire life. My goal is that my children have a love for learning, and I feel like Delight Directed is a really good happy medium. The child can choose what they want to learn. If you use my books, it's guided for the parent. In the end, you'll have a beautiful portfolio for to show grandparents and whoever else you want to show your child's schoolwork for the year. So check out my books. They're on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And I hope you found this video encouraging, enlightening, and don't be afraid to switch things up, because kids can get burnt out just like adults get burnt out on different things. And so I hope you found this encouraging. And until next time, God bless, and as always, happy homeschooling.